no. You guys are nuts. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, go check the generals of all the kids, you lose.
You'd be quite happy for your daughter to get beaten by a biological male.
The requirement was 2 XX chromosomes, and they failed.
Do you think there is any circumstance in which it's okay for a man to punch a woman in the face?
Laydecker is dominating swimming way more. Are you hard of hearing? I know your trans hate has taken over your body so much.
I'll wait for Cenk to finish.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we're going to be watching Riley Gaines and Michael Knowles, Smooth Mickey, as he is called, absolutely eviscerating delusional Democrats on the 2024 election, as well as men in women's sports. Now, on the other side, we've got Chunky Yogurt, as well as some other Democrat, demonstrating the ideological possession of the left and the hills that they are willing to die on, including men beating up women in sport.
Did you like that? Yeah!
This one gets ridiculous, so we're going to break down a few of the points that they make. So we'll get into the first part where the Democrats on the panel start fawning over Kamala's VP pick, Tim Walz, and then we will break down what they're really saying.
Cenk, let me go to you. I saw a euphoric post on X from you earlier, absolutely ecstatic that Kamala Harris had gone for Tim Walz. Why are you so pleased about this?
Oh, I love it. And Piers, you've never been more wrong, and that's a tough thing. You know how I felt about Joe Biden, and I was right about that. And I'm going to be right about Tim Walz. He's a terrific pick for 2 reasons. Number one, he loves to fight, and he's a great fighter. So when he said, oh, we got a real estate baron and a venture capitalist telling us how the average guy should be, get out of here. J.D. Vance uses eyeliner. This guy's a football coach and a teacher. He barely got into politics in his 40s. He's terrific at fighting. Number 2, all those progressive policies, you guys mentioned the trans issue. Go ahead, see how that turns out for you. DeSantis ruined his entire campaign running on that hateful ideology. But what you're leaving out is the awesome progressive policies that America loves that he passed. Paid family leave, abortion rights, red flag laws, closing the gun show loophole, free lunch for poor kids, free college for lower income Americans so they have a shot at this American dream. Those are all wildly popular. Please attack us on those. Come to Papa. Come to Papa. We're going to kick your ass with that stuff. So please make that mistake.
This is a gift to Democrats and a gift to democracy. This is America's prosecutor versus America's criminal. This is America's football coach versus America's weirdo who apparently might have a couch fetish and is absolutely hated by his own base and is a venture capitalist and is -15. J.D. Vance has the lowest favorability rating of any vice presidential candidate in the past 45 years, and he can't help it. Each and every single time you ask him to be normal, he doubles down on the weird and attacks women. I think this is a gift for the Democrats. It shows that she has the ear to the ground. To your initial comment about AOC like him, you know who else just came out and praised Tim Walz, this flaming radical that the Republicans want to paint him as? Please do. This is going to be awesome. Joe Manchin, Independent, praised him. Nancy Pelosi praised him. And you have Bernie Sanders. The entire spectrum of Democrats are rallying behind the football coach, the veteran, the teacher, this Midwestern guy who's normal, who, by the way, conceived a child with his wife through IVF. And guess who is attacking IVF? Republicans. Guess who has overturned Roe v. Wade? Republicans. Guess who is mocking women who are childless? Republicans. Guess who is going after birth control? Republicans. They're talking about kids, protect the kids. Guess who gave kids free lunches? Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota. There's a photo of him surrounded by happy kids, contrasted to a photo of these really scared, terrified children. I think it was Sarah Huckabee Sanders, because Republicans are going against child tax credits, against family paid leave. This is going to be a slam dunk for Harris and Walz. I love it. I love it so much. This campaign, the Harris campaign, at least for the past 2 weeks, Pierce, let's see, it's 3 months, has been on fire. It's enthusiasm, it's momentum, it's energy. And meanwhile, you got Donald ranting about Hannibal Lecter in a near-empty Georgia rally. Meanwhile, Harris has got Megan Thee Stallion and 10,000 people. It's on.
The left just loves to lie. I mean, they're going to brag about event turnouts. Really? I mean, Trump fills every location that he goes to and has thousands and thousands of people waiting outside. And they're going to gloat about having Megan Thee Stallion perform, a degenerate rapper.
I've been playing beats 'cause I ain't playing to be stuck.
Okay, sure, you can have her. I mean, it was a tragic scene watching her shake her ass and talk about her coochie, whilst helpless old white people in the audience were being sexually assaulted by the performance. But in terms of popularity, all will be revealed because Trump and Kamala Harris have got a date locked in for the debate.
September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
And my favorite source, Ground News, is all over this. The good thing about Ground News is that if I want news on the US election, I can just search it in the tab and there's a whole section dedicated to it. I can go down and see the blind spot stories here, whatever I might be missing, what's not being reported by left and right. And then up here, I can see some of the top stories. And I can click into this one about the debate being agreed. And then all in one place, I can explore the hundreds of different sources that they've put together and see how it's being reported by left, center, and right. And what's more is I can see the factuality of the sources and even the ownership. I can see which sources are independent. So if you want to get started with Ground News, you can just hit this QR code right here. Or you can go to the bio in the comments, hit that link, ground.news/rattlesnake. That's ground.news/rattlesnake. And if you sign up today, Ground News is offering Rattlesnake TV listeners a massive 40% off the Vantage plan, which is what I use. So keep yourselves armed and dangerous with a healthy news diet today. Support Ground News and support Rattlesnake TV directly. Let's get back into the video. So quickly, just to zoom in on some of the things that the Democrats said here. Cenk Uygur criticizes JD Vance for wearing eyeliner. And even if he does use eyeliner, what's wrong with that, Cenk? What's wrong with a man using eyeliner? Please elaborate. Interesting. They're also criticizing him for being a venture capitalist. Is that a bad thing? And they seem overjoyed that Nancy Pelosi and Bernie Sanders endorsed Tim Walz. Wow. And he had a child through IVF. Okay. And he loves abortion and big government and welfare. And he gave kids free lunches. Was this before or after his city was burnt down by BLM riders? Please tell the taxpayer more about how you would like to use their money to plunge the country further into debt and bend the knee to radical leftist ideologues. Who knows, guys? With these two in office, maybe there could be an entire countrywide summer of love. Incredible. I think this is a good result for the Republicans. So with that out the way, let's get into the section about men beating up women in sport.
So Riley, the issue here is not that they're trans women competing against women. The issue here is that they have XY chromosomes, is what has been claimed and made clear by other governing bodies in women's boxing who have banned them from competing in the last World Championships. So a slightly different case to the issue of trans athletes competing in women's sport, but nonetheless, just as pertinent.
They failed the chromosomal testing that every athlete, I believe, has to take. The requirement is that women have to have XX chromosomes. These athletes failed. Here's what we know. I listened to the press conference yesterday put on in Paris by the IBA, and this is what we know. Both boxers were initially subjected to a chromosomal test by an independent laboratory in Istanbul after the IBA received complaints from coaches and competitors during the 2022 Women's World Boxing Championships. Both athletes were then retested in India again during the next year during the same Women's World Boxing Championships in 2023 to clarify and confirm prior results. This is when both athletes were then found to have XY chromosomes. Both boxers were informed of the results of the test in writing. Both boxers were given the opportunity to appeal the findings to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. The IBA even offered to pay for the majority of any cost that would allow both boxers to appeal. One male athlete, he did not appeal the decision. Amain Khalif, I would say the athlete that has received the most prominence from Algeria here, he appealed the decision, but then ultimately withdrew the appeal. That's what this is. This isn't an argument that is meant to be hateful. I mean, it's not even opinionated. These athletes are males, and males do not belong in women's sports. Really that simple.
And the simple way they can clear this up before they box again, they can actually just say, here we are, I'm prepared to take a test. let's do a simple swab sex test. And if it turns out they have an XY chromosome, would you then accept that that makes them biologically male? And would you accept that should make them ineligible to take part in a boxing competition against a biological female? Yes or no?
If you and Michael will take a test proving that you're male and submit the results,
yes, I
then
will.
I'll be fine
I'll do
doing
it now.
the same.
I'll do it now.
Okay, really?
Sure.
So wonderful.
Of course.
Grass, you'll do it right now? Let's do it. Do
No
it
problem.
right now, and then Iman Khalif will show you all the records where she was born a female, identifies as female, has female on her passport, went through all the testing. The Olympics
all
Commission
they've
said she's
seen is
fine.
her passport.
Boxed females, lost to females,
All they've
beat
seen
females,
is her passport.
and she's from Algeria.
She failed the sex test. They've just seen her
She,
passport.
if she failed
No,
the
she
test,
didn't.
If she failed the test, she would not be boxing right now. The IBA is run by Russia, which is discredited. This is why the Olympic Commission says that we do not take the result. They laugh
So
at them.
why won't they do
That's
a
why
test?
Since last year, they discredit them.
Why won't they do a test?
Because they don't have
Just do
to.
a
Because they realize
They
it's
don't have to,
nonsense
right.
fiction. You are going out of your way to put a target on this innocent woman who came from poverty and has literally worked so hard to medal. And you have created a fictional target and a bogey woman, and I hope she sues people, and I hope she medals, and I hope she wins in life. I love it.
I hope she sues people, because you know what?
So
if she
you
sues
also
people,
support domestic
then we'll find
violence.
out the truth. Let me go to Emily. Emily, it seems to me that this is a classic case, isn't it? Where people on the left love to talk about promoting women's rights. Right to the moment somebody produces a passport and says, I'm a woman, but has turned out to have been banned from the World Championships because they tested XY positive chromosome, which means they're male. They didn't appeal against the ban, and they refuse to take a test now, but they want to say, hey, look at my passport, I'm a woman.
Yeah, this is, this
None of this is
subject, the fact that we have to talk this deeply about it is actually insane, because any human being on the planet that has any sort of common sense, and of course, this is why only Democrats disagree with this, go, if it's a man, they cannot compete with women. This is not about anything that has to do with trans people.
Just quickly, guys, before we continue this on, if you don't mind smashing that like button, that is greatly appreciated, especially with all the censorship we are facing over here at Rattlesnake TV. And also, if you're getting value from the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And even if you are subscribed, make sure that YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. Back to it.
I don't know. You guys are nuts. I don't know what to tell you. This is a very black and white situation. This is literally just about protecting the woman. Then again, I know you guys don't really know what a woman is, so of course you might have confusion, and especially when you're all about like women's rights. Okay, well, you guys weren't about women's rights when it came to forcing them to get a vaccine, but that's a whole nother story.
All right, let me bring in Cenk, who's been foaming at the mouth here. I mean, Cenk, I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and if she was competing in any kind of elite level sport, was potentially going to enter the, well, you may throw your hands up in fury, but actually I don't want her getting into a situation where her dreams and aspirations in women's sport are curtailed because people like you think it's fine for biological males to compete against biological women. It's not fine. It's grotesquely unfair. Now, you might say, as Wajahat has done, well, we can't believe a word of the tests that were done because Russia was behind. Okay, so do another test right now at the Olympics and show us the results. And if it turns out they are both XY chromosome, would you then change your mind? Yes or no?
So you guys have no idea what my positions are. I've been fighting the left on this issue for a while, and a lot of people got really mad at us. I believe the Olympics should do the testing. I believe that it doesn't help trans women to compete in women's events, especially in contact sports. Now, having said that, this whole thing is based on a lie. The IBA never showed that test. It's a Russian loon who runs it. It was a Russian sponsor, their only sponsor, and they
So do another
were worried
one.
that she was going to be. Hold
So do another
on,
one
let
now.
me actually finish, because you've been lying about it the whole time, Piers. Can I just finally
No,
tell
I
the
haven't.
truth to your viewers? They never presented that case. There's no test. They totally made it up because they were
So
worried
why
that she was
didn't
going to
they
be a
appeal?
Russian boxer. Do
Why
you know how
didn't
many
they
times
appeal?
she's lost? She's lost.
So, Cenk,
she's lost.
why
9
didn't she appeal?
times. She's not
Why
some
didn't
sort
she
of
appeal?
demigod. She doesn't have XY chromosomes.
if they do another test and it turns out they are both XY chromosome, would you accept that that means they should not be competing in women's sport? Yes or no?
So for the Olympics, she would still qualify, but I would disagree with the Olympics. I don't think she should compete
so you agree with
in
me?
women's sports if she has XY chromosome. No, but Piers, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, our positions are not at all unreasonable. But you guys, you don't even know that she has XY chromosomes. It's totally made up. But you are so obsessed with this trans issue. You mentioned you have a 12-year-old girl. I have a 12-year-old girl. I don't mind if she competes against trans girls in junior high and high school. What are you going to do? Check the genitals of all those kids? What are you guys, nuts? Now, at the professional level, that's a different story.
I do mind. I can't believe that. So you would be quite happy.
Go check the genitals of all the kids, you lose.
You'd be quite happy if your daughters are getting beaten by biological males. Completely insane. There's a whole reason, by the way, we separate the sexes at the Olympics. You know what it is? If we didn't, women wouldn't win anything.
So Cenk just said that he would be happy for his daughter to compete against boys in junior high and high school in boxing, which is a red flag, to say the least, but we will get more into that later. But then, of course, like a good leftist, it devolves into talking about children's genitals.
Check the genitals of all those kids? What are you guys, nuts?
I mean, what even is that argument? We hear that a lot these days. When people are asked, what is a woman? They'll say,
oh, we don't really know what a woman is. What do you want to do? Check everyone's genitals when they walk in the room?
No. What I want to do is use my basic human reason, which can ascertain what a man and a woman is, mainly just by looking at them. And if there is an exception, with a tiny slither of the population who have a genetic defect at birth, then we can take a cheek swab and find out. This will stop young girls from getting their heads cracked in boxing matches and so much more.
Yeah!
But you guys are reasonable people who watch the channel, so I don't need to go on about this. But the major point here is just what the left has become. And it's important to just step back and realize this sometimes, because the goalposts have been shifted to the point where we are now having these absurd arguments. These people are so captured by their ideology that they are dying on this ridiculous hill, and they're going on Piers Morgan to argue that men should be able to bash women. And they know that they have to, because their side of the political aisle is such that if they go against this narrative completely, which is just basic human decency and basic common sense, then they're not on the team anymore. I mean, here are their arguments. The guy was Russian, okay? You hate trans people, bye, bye, bye. I'm beginning to think that Cenk Uygur is going to appear on the next Piers Morgan show as Cindy, considering how emotional he gets.
All right, go check the genitals of all the kids, you lose.
He says, you want to check kids' genitalia. You're so weird. No, actually, Cenk, you went there. We didn't go there. We want a simple saliva test. And actually, your side of the aisle is the one that is actually pretty obsessed with kids' genitals.
We're out here today spreading the word that we want to protect transgender children.
And Cenk claims that he's been fighting the left on this. His position is the one fighting against the left. He is the voice of reason on his side. Well, let's continue on and see just how reasonable Cenk truly is on this issue. And also, if he's the reasonable one, what the hell do his colleagues think about this matter? Which, I mean, we already kind of know, but I digress.
Let me go to Riley. Riley, as the only elite athlete, I believe, amongst us today, correct me if I'm wrong, panel, but Riley, you watched that whole press conference. I didn't get the feeling it was just the word of one raging Russian loon, because I heard a lot of non-Russian accents getting involved as well. It doesn't change the fact, as he said, they were found to have XY chromosomes in a test. They had a chance to appeal that to avoid being banned, and they chose not to appeal it. That is so damning. And even if it isn't, even if it was all terribly unfair, as Cenk and Wajhat would like us to believe, do another damn test then. Show the world you're actually biological women. And there's a reason they're not doing it. Riley.
Absolutely. We see a lot of information being pushed out there that these are just cisgender women with elevated levels of testosterone. The IBA made it very clear they did not do testosterone level testing. They never did that, not even one time. We don't know what these athletes' testosterone levels are. What they did do was test the karyotypes of these athletes. The only requirement was that these athletes had XX chromosomes, and they failed the test. No, they haven't come out and explicitly said these athletes have XY chromosomes, but That's because the Algerian and Taiwanese Olympic Committee have refused the IBA to release these results. I mean, the requirement was have XX chromosomes, and they failed that. Therefore, let's use intuitive thinking here. Let's use our brains. We all have them. That means they have a Y chromosome. And if you have a Y chromosome, you are a male. I mean, do we need to send like half of the population back to 6th grade biology?
But you just admitted that there is no such test.
They took a chromosomal test, and they failed. The requirement was 2 XX chromosomes, and they failed. Because of the Taiwanese and the Algerian Olympic Committee, they're not allowed to explicitly say these athletes have XY.
You know what?
Go watch the 30 minute. It's a 30-minute, very brief.
You're going to keep saying everyone's lying, but the answer is just do another test and show us. And there's a reason they're not doing it. Let me bring in Michael. Michael, I think
you can make up anything. You can make up anything and then demand a test.
They were literally banned from the World Championship.
True. So
They were banned from the World Championship
by the IBA. A bunch of lunatics who've now been decertified.
So why didn't they appeal?
Because not just because of this, because they make up things one after another. This guy's totally So guys, look. We have to have the bare minimum of agreeing on facts and evidence. And Riley just admitted there, and you've admitted, Piers, that there is no such test, that it's never been produced publicly. You're taking the word of a guy who seems to be a total raving lunatic, no matter where he comes from. Okay.
So why didn't they appeal the ban?
So your big thing is, I've accused you of a, hold on. So your big thing is, we accused of her of a thing that doesn't exist, and now she has to prove that it isn't true. Well, that's an absurd standard. I could accuse you of 1,000 things and demand that you prove that it's not true.
This is where you're being so disingenuous.
When did you stop dating your wife,
I'm going to bring Michael in, but hang on a second, Shank. You're being so disingenuous. Because the truth is, they were both banned from the last World Championships because they failed a sex test, which is rightly said. Fine, but they had a chance to appeal, but they didn't. They took the ban. They accepted the findings of the ban, or they would have appealed it. That's the bottom line, which means they're male. They've got a Y chromosome.
Very briefly, 80% of the female athletes at the Olympics are in favor of a simple cheek swab to test sex. Over 80% of the athletes, female athletes.
It takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. You do literally a cheek swab. That's it. And then you establish, are they male or female?
So over the years, there have been many occasions when we've stopped and thought to ourselves, okay, this has to be peak woke. Remember a few years ago when the left came at Joe Rogan's throat when he said that Fallon Fox, a biological male with a very baritone voice, shouldn't be able to get in an MMA cage and beat the shit out of women?
You guys can kiss my fucking ass. You're out of your mind. You guys are out of your mind if you think that a man who has been a man for 30 years and has taken female hormones for 2 is the same. You put Brock Lesnar, chop his dick off and put him in a dress. That guy's going to maul through the women's heavyweight division like nothing you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. Because we're built different. And it's just a fact. And anyone who tries to argue that is crazy.
Yeah, well, turns out Joe had a point. And what about the South Park episode when they made a biological man destroy all of the women in the strong woman competition?
Hey you! Your time is now. What you gonna do? Head to the metal. Strong woman. Yeah. Strong woman. Strong woman. Strong woman.
You know, once upon a time, that was meant to be a skit. That was meant to be taking a ridiculous idea to its absolute most absurd logical conclusion. But it's not really reality and everyone laughs. But now, guys, the clown show is reality. This Algerian boxer tested positive for XY chromosome. And I have no idea how it is possible that the Olympics, the highest level of athletic performance in the entire world, isn't just doing the test again if there is controversy. But a lot of people are coming out and saying,
no, she's a woman. She has woman on her passport. She was born a female,
etc. Well, Iman doesn't really look like much of a woman to me. And obviously there is some sort of a genetic defect there, so do the damn tests. And this is not an unimportant matter. I've competed in boxing. I understand the sport. So let me tell you a little bit about the difference between men and women. I've sparred a lot of women in my life. Hear me out. When you're doing boxing and kickboxing, sparring and training, generally everybody will be on the mat and the professional woman fighters will come in and everybody has their turn with each other, and then at the end of the round you swap partners and you'll spar with everybody who's on the mat. I don't think I've ever thrown a punch more than 5% at a woman, but every single time, even if they're a high-level professional, you even touch them with your man hand and they just throw their guard up and head goes back, no defense out the window. And these are the high-level pros. But the fact of the matter is that a woman cannot handle the physical strength of a man. And in reverse, the females will always punch you as hard as they can and hit you and kick you as hard as they can. And it's like a fly. It's like a little fly. You just block, little walk at the park. And anybody who is trained at any sort of high level in combat sports will understand exactly what I'm talking about here. So actually, this is very serious because combat sports is not something to play with. If you are getting in the ring against another trained individual who's trained their whole life and knows how to put the full force of their body into a punch, then you can kill somebody, and people do die in combat sports. And a female's physiology is such that a blow to the head from a male punch can be extremely damaging and can lead to life-altering injuries and, like I said, if not death. So there will come a point, if this continues to escalate, where a woman will get killed by a man in the ring or the octagon. But you know what? Even if that did happen, the left would still come out and defend it.
They're not going anywhere, and we have their back. This administration has their back.
So you can argue until you go blue in the face about what it says on Iman's passport. But if there is any confusion, until the confusion is no more, it is absolutely unconscionable to have these people competing against women in combat sports. And I can't believe I even have to say that. And now onto the last part, where Michael asks the perfect question to Cenk and completely dismantles him.
Michael, I think you've got a more overarching solution to this.
I do, actually. But before we even get to that, which I think was simple enough and it worked a quarter century ago, I have this question for Cenk, because it seems like we're getting so bogged down in the particulars. What exactly are this fighter's chromosomes, and what leagues are credible in ascertaining this question? But you just said, Cenk, that you would have no problem with your daughter engaging in a sport, even we're discussing a combat sport, with someone who has male biology. And what people find so disturbing about the Imani Caliph story, I think, is the notion that a man is punching a woman in the face. So if you say you have no problem with this, with men, people with the biology of a man, even fighting women, even playing sports with women, do you think there is any circumstance in which it's okay for a man to punch a woman in the face?
Yeah, so I'm glad you're asking the question, because I said it, and let me be double down and clarify so that no one's confused about it. So my cutoff is high school. The reason why I fought with the left is beyond high school, especially in contact sports, you are risking not only the women in that ring, but you're also risking trans rights. Because the minute that a trans woman knocks out a biological female in a way that is significant, right, and does real damage, trans rights are going to be set back 50
Hold on, though. I want to be clear, Cenk.
And I don't want that. I want to protect the trans community. Hold on. Can I just answer the question? You're saying,
hold on. I just want a little clarification.
Guys, in high school,
you're saying an 18-year-old man should be able to punch an 18-year-old woman in the face. 18 is fine. 19, that's when it gets
What boxing is there in high school? What are you talking about? In high school, there are no contact sports like boxing and MMA. If you're talking about wrestling, that's about as much of a contact sport as there is. So in high school, look, guys, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. First of all, this affects 7 people. You're being ridiculous. And the reason you're talking about that is because you don't want to talk about higher wages and health insurance for everyone. But if you want to talk about high school, what you have to do in order to let me just goddamn it answer the question. Can I just answer the goddamn question? So in high school, you're trying to find 7 people that you think is a problem. Oh, okay, apparently I can't answer the goddamn question. Okay, listen. What you're doing is you're saying in order to find the 7 trans girls out there that are so dominating these sports, which is not even true. Leidecker is dominating swimming way more than any trans woman is on any sport. I'm not going to test her testosterone. I'm not going to test all that stuff. But in terms of the high school athletes, I'm not going to go and ask all the state officials and government creeps to go check the genitalia of our daughters so that they could ascertain whether they're trans or not. This is a trans witch hunt, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Okay, great. Good for you, Cenk. You're not going to worry about whether blokes are beating up women. Great. Michael, what's your bigger solution?
Did I just say that? I said on the professional
I hate
level.
to sound like
Are
a
you
far
hard
right,
of hearing?
conservative
I know
here.
your trans hate has taken over your body
I'll wait
so
for Cenk
much.
to finish.
I have never hated trans people. I think trans people are entitled. I think trans people are entitled to the absolute same human rights as everybody else, and I've always promoted their rights to fairness and equality. Right to the point, it actually erodes women's rights to fairness and equality.
Chunky is genuinely an unhinged maniac, and Michael asked the perfect question there. An 18-year-old man punching an 18-year-old woman in the face. And Cenk's response to that is, oh, they don't really do boxing in high school. Well, Cenk, let me clarify this, because just from outward appearance, it doesn't seem like you really frequent fitness facilities. And maybe you don't know how these sorts of things work. Or maybe the ideology is just more important to you than the health of little girls. But yes, there is boxing in high school. There's actually quite a lot of it. This is how boxers cut their teeth. A lot of boxers will fight in the amateurs before they become pro as teenagers. Some of them will have hundreds of fights. And eventually they go into the pros when they're an adult. And there is a junior world championship that is held in a different country every 2 years. And a high-level amateur boxer who is 16 years old, male, having gone through puberty, would completely destroy any woman in the world in his weight class, even the professional world champion, with ease. Cenk, Mr. Women's Rights, Mr. Don't Tell a Woman What to Do with Her Body, is openly advocating for little girls to get beaten up by men. Your modern day left, ladies and gentlemen, pick your side wisely. So guys, don't forget to check out Ground News, the great sponsor of today's video, a fantastic company. Also, my links are also going to be below, and if you haven't liked the video, please do so here. Subscribe to the channel, and also, if you want to watch another one, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.